Okay, so I wanted to do a follow-up video about hybrid teaching. So it's now been over 26 days because we have 7 mods at the school that I teach at. So I've at least taught one mod, which is 26 days, and I'm kind of at the beginning of another mod. It's at least been 36 days of hybrid teaching, and I wanted to kind of talk about what it's been like. So one of the things that I notice is that students sometimes take advantage of the system. Maybe they're just kind of not feeling like waking up, and they've decided that they were going to be in person, but maybe that day they want to get on Zoom. And so it's good and bad. So the good thing is, okay, hey, they're still in class, right? So at least they're still in class, they're not absent, you don't have to think about makeup work. The only thing that bothers me is when they're in class, I try to set things up so they are kind of manipulating something with their hands because they did choose to be in class, so they do kind of miss that aspect of it. Now don't worry, they're not like exchanging things, but there might be something like underneath their seat, or I might have set up groups in a way where they're working with someone that they would have been sitting next to in class. And so that's kind of annoying when you already set it all up, then all of a sudden the student's online and now you have to like rearrange the groups. But I've kind of just learned to roll with it because at least they're showing up. At least they're here. So that's one thing. Another thing is I was a little afraid to eat lunch with the kids. I'm not gonna lie. I did not like that aspect. Being in a room with kids, all of us eating, like, I don't know, breathing in the sand. I don't know, no mask, no nothing. It really freaked me out. But fortunately for me, the class that I watch for lunch is a very small class. There's only 3 of the students that actually stay for lunch because one of them has an ACT lab his last period, so he just goes home. And so because of that, we're able to like space out, and so I don't feel, as claustrophobic. It's actually fine, and I eat like super fast, then I just put my mask right back on. Another thing that I guess kind of figured out, so in my first video I talked about the masks and how I got dry mouth because I'm hot and I'm breathing. So I looked up a bunch of stuff and I tried out a few things. So I try to breathe, like I try not to have my mouth open all the time because that's what was happening. I was like, because I have my mask on so no one's gonna see. So I try to take like chill breaths, so when I do, I'm not like opening my mouth all the way, because I read that because you're like letting in all that oxygen all the time, that the bacteria feed on it or something, and that it can cause you to have dry mouth and like get that kind of not stanky breath, but just like stale. So I fixed that. I also, after I eat, I use my mouthwash, just because I also read somewhere that after you eat, if you put your mask back on, that you're breathing in and out, and so the food particles kind of like might get on your face and cause you to break out. And so I definitely didn't want mask knee. I've been seeing that everywhere. I don't want mask knee, so that's what I do. Another thing that I do is, so this is not different than what I was doing before. So after my school day, when I go home, I go right in and I put all my clothes in the laundry and I take a shower. And I think that helps with the mask knee too, because I'm just like washing the day off. I'm making sure I get a wash to my face at least twice a day, so once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And I feel like that really helps as well. Something else that I was able to overcome was figuring out the activities part. So I mentioned that I really like to do activities and that I was really sad, and I was kind of questioning whether or not I wanted to come back because I'm not gonna be able to do that. So what's the point? Like everything's just gonna be online. But it is nice to see faces, to kind of get those interactions. And also with the activities, I figured out like what they can do, how to kind of set things up so they don't have to exchange materials, um, that they can work together at a lab table, where, you know, if they are sharing materials, that they're using gloves, apron, that they might have a goggle on, that I'm like quarantining all the materials. I'll kind of show you what I mean about that in a sec. And yeah, just making sure I'm mindful about that, and that the materials that they're using are easily washable, but it's doable. So I've realized that it's doable. So I'll show you what I mean about the quarantine station and maybe like one of the activities I set up here. So this is my quarantine cart. So what I do is on the way out, I'll have the kids put things on here, or I'll put it on here, and I usually spray it down beforehand if I collect it, and then put it on here, and I just let it sit for like a week, or enough, like 3 or 4 days at least, and then I'll handle it again. So like these clipboards they used the other day. This was some forensic stuff that we used, and again I sprayed it down and put it on the cart. These papers on top were ones that I told the kids to put up here, so I sprayed those down and I just let it sit. So like this cart can easily be like shoved in this my little lab room back there, and it's my quarantine area. So I felt comfortable about that because just spraying it down, like what if I miss like a little part? And also I thought it would be easy because I'm not using these again. So this mod I have 3 different classes, so I'm not going to be reusing any of this. So I literally just put it on the cart, let it sit, and then I'll just pack it up for the next time that I teach this, which will be at least 30 days from now if I teach it again in our next mod. So I feel like that's good. So what I'll do when I set up their little activities is, so I don't have to walk out here when they're in class, I'll put things under their desk that they'll need, and whatever they'll need, if they need a marker, I'll put that with it, and then that's theirs. And that's how I pass things out. So I never come out here unless the class is super small and I can navigate without having to like walk past them, because I just try to avoid that. So that's really worked out. And I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, let me just give you a layout. So I put these tables out because I found that it was easier. So I still have space between my desks, but it was easier when we were doing labs that I have a place where they could put like waste and they don't have to walk a long way, so they don't have to brush past people or be up. And then in my forensics class, this mod is all about evidence analysis, so fiber analysis, hair analysis, fingerprint, everything. So how to analyze all of these pieces of evidence, and so they have to do these little labs. The class is small enough, there's only 8 kids in here. Well, I feel comfortable, so that means that they can easily congregate around these tables, 2 at a table, and then work with the material. And then I just kind of keep a log of who's working with who, just in case there's any COVID cases. And I spray down everything, and again, when we're done with it, it all goes on the quarantine cart, and I take it away. Let me show you my markers. So these markers we used, I think, last week in bio. And what I did was I had them in this beaker here filled with water and soap, and they were just sitting in there for like a week with the cap side up. And then I now have finally placed them here to dry, and then I'll probably spray them down and put them in my little container over here, and probably put them underneath my little my shelf here. So again, I'm really trying to think about ways to like sanitize or let things sit so I don't have to mess with it so much. Yeah, so I think I'm doing okay. Okay, so another thing I've noticed is, or that I've kind of grown with, is managing in person versus Zoom. So at first I kept forgetting about my Zoom guys, like forgetting to unfreeze my screen or to show them something or anything like that. But I've figured it out. So I pretty much just stay up here in my zone. So I'm in my classroom now. I stay up here by the computer, and I just make sure that I'm showing the Zoom kids everything. It just took some time to just remember. So I try to plan it where the kids online, I'm doing things that they can actually do, that it's going to be helpful for them. It's easy to do. They're not going to feel left out. I've been trying to make sure that with all the activities, if they can't do it at home, there's a virtual lab, or just everyone is doing a virtual lab. And I feel like I've been doing a lot better on that. Finding a virtual lab for them to do, or pairing them up with someone in class, and making it so that everyone has a role. The person in class maybe will do the lab, and the person that is on Zoom will be the recorder and writing down all the data, that kind of thing. And then I also like that the Zoom folks and the in-person kids are also collaborating, so there's not so much of a division, and they're getting to talk to one another. I'm still using Google Classroom as my LMS, and that's where we start from and normally end from. I'm still using Quizzes for the majority of my quizzes, but I have been also using Google Forms, so kind of back and forth just to change up the format, but things where you don't have to log into, it's just a click away. And I'm also using Quizlet flashcards all the time, almost every day. Again, it's just a click away. We do it quite often, and the flashcards are available for them to practice on their own. I'm still using Nearpod. I haven't used it too much in the beginning of this mod that I'm in now. We've been in class for 2 weeks, but I will be using it a lot with the following weeks because we're doing genetics and bio, so we'll definitely be using it in there a lot for them to show me that they know how to set up a Punnett square and give me probabilities. Obviously, we're still using Edpuzzle. I'll still be using that even if we're not virtual. It's so helpful. Watch the video, answer the questions throughout. It grades it automatically unless it's a short answer question, then you go in and grade it. It's super easy. For the kids that are maybe at a higher level, they really like those, I think, because it gives them a lot more information. It can go more in depth. And then for the kids that are maybe not understanding, it gives them more understanding. And so I really like it. It's really good. It's a simple grade. I usually have maybe like 2 or 3 for the week, sometimes more for them to do, but I really like Edpuzzle. I'm still using Google Slides for my notebooks because I wanted there to be less paper. So there's essentially 0 paper in here. Everything's laminated. I think last week I ended up having to give out a paper version because I didn't have time to laminate, but that was put there, and I actually sprayed it down as well. I had a mask on and my shield, and then it was thrown away, so they only touched it and that was it. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'll keep you posted and share anything else that I can think of that was helpful during this interesting time that we're in. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.